Hello, fellow members of the Tom Petty Fans Forever Facebook group. A couple of weeks ago, Marilyn had reached out about what we were doing for this sort of celebration week, in the weekend of Gwen's birthday. And one of the suggestions was that maybe I could chat to Gwen's daughter, Patricia. So I got a hold of her, and we've had a couple of dates fall through, but we managed to connect on Tuesday afternoon this week. And I wanted to sort of just preface the chat that we had with a quick word to say, again, I said on the call, thanks to Patricia for taking the time out to chat and talk about Gwen with us. Thanks to all the admins and moderators and the group experts in the Tom Petty Fans Forever group, and to all of you for making it such a wonderful community to hang out in. Tough week, obviously, for a lot of us, remembering Gwen, and but I think more happiness than sadness when I remember, the positive impacts that she had on my life. So I hope you enjoy the episode. And don't forget to tune in on Saturday because we're going to do the Petty Trivia quiz. So I'll get another reminder about that out at the morning of Saturday. The morning of Saturday, I could have just said Saturday morning. And we'll see some of you, hopefully a lot of you on the call. Okay, bye-bye. There we go.
Hi there.
How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for
Awesome.
doing this.
Yeah, no problem at all. I mean, before we start digging into things, like your mum was a huge influence on me too, as she was with so many people. And just so anything I can do to sort of, commit to her legacy and then help that along, I'm more than happy to do because she was a wonderful lady.
Very cool.
I'm actually wearing this shirt she had made for me and sent me, and it just turned up out of the blue one day. So I get this T-shirt and I recognize from Gwen. I wasn't expecting anything. I opened it up. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So she just, I think she did that with lots of different people, right? Where she would just sort of
Yeah.
gifts just because.
She had a knack for that. That was actually one of the points I wanted to bring up later. She had a knack for picking up any little gifts or any things that we were interested in or
Yeah,
wanted, just surprising us with them.
for sure. So why don't you introduce yourself to the listeners so everyone knows who you are? Although I'm pretty sure everyone will do, but
I'm Patricia Delarosa, Gwen Jones's daughter, one of four children that she raised. She had a slew of grandchildren that she raised also. So I have my little Layla with me, and last 6 to 8 months of mom's life, she actually lived here with us, kind of a girls' bachelorette pad, I guess.
so what was that like having mum back home?
It was fun. It was great. Mom loved to cook. So there were oftentimes I would be coming home from work and dinner would be ready. Um, but there were times that we would bump heads. She
Of
was
course,
very particular about wanting things a certain way, and it was a little different now. And now was my house.
for sure. Did she have a signature dish? Is there sort of a dish that she was known for in the family?
The grandkids all loved her pancakes. I was partial to her mashed potatoes.
Okay, well, let's dig into that a little bit because I do quite a decent mashed potato myself. So what
All
was her
right,
trick? What did she put in? Were they just straight, or did she add anything into them?
straight mashed potatoes, and I guess she added love. Lots of butter, lots of butter, lots of milk.
You know what I found lately is you put a little bit of ranch dressing in there. It gives it a little bit of
Okay,
pep. It's nice, yeah.
cool.
So obviously, the reason that we're connected, and again, we're celebrating Gwen's life through the Tom Petty Fans Forever Facebook group that she started. So as her kid, obviously, you knew that she loved Tom Petty. But I'm curious, are you a Tom Petty fan, or did listening to Tom Petty all the time when you were young put you off?
No, I grew up. My when I think of childhood, I think of Tom Petty and music. She loved music. She would crank up an LP. In fact, I've got our records behind me.
That's awesome.
She's had that. I can remember going through her record collection when I was 4. Um, I've gone on to collect albums. My daughter does also. Um, but yeah, so when Southern Accents came out, oh my gosh, I that thing played on our house every Saturday. I can remember having my little dolls out putting on a concert.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
yeah, so I grew up, I guess, on Tom Petty. She listened to not just Tom Petty though; they listened to all kinds of rock and I guess like R&B or more blues, like
Yeah.
Sam Cooke and just the classics.
Yeah.
Um, so I can remember actually taking her Tom Petty Greatest Hits CD when I moved out because I wanted to continue listening to it. Highway Companion, when that came out, I went and bought it myself, but I will admit I did get kind of tired of listening to Tom Petty on our trip to Florida and back.
A little repetitive. I get it. So whenever I'm driving anywhere with my wife, so we're not listening to Tom Petty all the way there, are we? It's like, well, no, I'll
Yeah,
just, for the first half hour, and then you can have the radio.
yeah.
So that's a pretty good musical upbringing. I think you had, obviously. And I had the same thing with my parents, were very musical and introduced me to lots of good music. Do you remember the first record that you bought with your own money? What would that have
Oh,
been?
gosh, I'm sure it was something terrible like New Kids on the Block.
Yeah, we all
Um,
go through those phases.
I know the one that I was most excited about was the Prince Purple Rain album, and it's actually a purple record.
Oh, cool. The purple vinyl.
Yeah,
Nice. Do you still have that?
I'd have to go dig it out.
But you still have it, though. You still own it. That's pretty
Yes,
cool. Yeah. Of course,
yeah,
like, I mean, I moved to a different country and all my records stayed back in England and they're still sitting there. So at some point when I can, next time I go over, I'm hoping that I can bring some of them back. But yeah, Purple Rain on purple vinyl, that'd be pretty sweet. Uh,
yeah. In fact, Mom took me to my first concert. I do remember that, and it was the New Kids on the Block, and I was all of 9 years old.
yeah.
She sat through it with me, her and a friend of hers, and her little girl, and they actually took us to the hotel that the band was staying at afterwards to try and meet them, catch them coming in, and we never did though. We
Oh,
never saw.
cool. Well, and
But it was
that's so cool. So that sort of, that love of music and that love of Tom Petty and different artists, was that sort of well known through the family? Is it a musical family that you have, or is it sort of you and your mom, or like what's that kind of a dynamic like in the family?
hmm. Um, I thought it was just kind of my mom and me, but it seems to have carried on to my daughter. Music is a huge influence in her life, and the younger generation having access to Spotify and YouTube and everything. I mean, their taste in music is so much more eclectic and diverse than mine was at that age.
Yeah, no
Additionally,
kidding.
my brother mentioned at mom's service, this was a story I hadn't heard before, but I know that they would talk music and memories and stuff quite a bit, but he mentioned his love of music kind of developed through mom. And he shared the anecdote about when he was 8 years old and mom listening to that song, Don't It Make My Brown Eyes Blue. I can't
Yeah.
think of the lady that sings it, but she would listen to it over and over and over. And he said he would ask her about it. Why are you doing this? And she just smiled and keep singing.
It's Crystal Gale, right? I think, isn't it?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a really, and thank you for sharing that with me too. For our listeners, Patricia had sent me the what your brother Michael had written
Oh,
and
yeah.
read out at the funeral, right? So, and it was really poignant. Like I felt myself filling up a couple times, like it's, because all those memories and all that love comes pouring out. And one thing I really picked up on, or a couple of things, but he said it's always easy to remember someone as kind and loving, compassionate, caring, and Gwen was certainly all of those things. But I think it's equally important to remember that she was an incredibly hard worker her entire life. Said
Mm.
sure, challenges slowed her down in the end, but that was only after several decades of working just as hard as anyone I've ever seen work at anything. And that always came across to me too, is that sort of that dedication, that commitment to anything she did, and she threw herself wholeheartedly into that.
Yep, absolutely. We she continued that when I mentioned that she liked things a certain way. Our holidays, she did all of the meal prep, and I mean it was a labor of love, and she wanted things prepared a certain way.
Yeah, yeah.
It was just she wanted the best for everyone, and yeah, she just a labor of love. That's all I can say.
Did she? I don't think I ever asked her. Did she have a career when she
Uh,
was younger, or?
Yeah. So she was a hairdresser. She actually quit school in the 10th grade, so 2 years short of graduation here. Went and got her GED, her high school equivalency, the next day, and went to beauty school and went on to have her own hair salon for a number of years. Worked in kind of some nursing homes, also kind of on the side.
Okay.
Because there had been a point when my grandmother had been in the hospital on my father's side, and she had been able to like wash her hair and stuff.
Yeah.
Mom didn't like that. She wanted to be able to make sure the folks that couldn't necessarily get out were able to still, have their hair done, look good. So they did that. A number of years, she and her husband also had a tree trimming business, and primarily he did the work, but she would get out there and work with him. She was not shy about labor.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that sort of filters through, right? Because that does tend to when your parents have a good work ethic, as kids, you definitely sort of pick up on that, right? And you sort of almost feel obligated to work hard because your parents work hard.
Sure, sure. I think so.
Another thing I saw in the script there was it says, "Who can remember the Gwen stare?" So what is the Gwen stare? You got to tell us about the Gwen stare.
Oh, I think it was more of us kids, where she cut her eyes at you if you weren't listening. First it's a little. I think all moms have that look they give the kids.
But some moms really have it, right? Some moms they can like, and especially I think it's an age thing too. So my grandma would like, she would just, even when I went back the last time and I was, I don't know, 46 years old, when she looks like at you, if you're messing around, it's like, oh, sorry, gran. So it's that you just you instantly become a kid again, right?
Yeah, yeah. And we I always felt kind of a childlike with mom in a way, because we just joked around so much, and being the baby of the family, I kind of like to pester the others.
Yeah.
Her that stare or her reaction, the one-liners. She had a really sharp wit. The one-liners that she would drop on you, the little zingers, crack me up.
Yeah. And a great storyteller too, because I remember, I was trying to organize for her to come on the podcast and she was nervous and I wasn't too sure whether she was really wanted to do it because she was a little bit nervous. But once we got on and we just started chatting, after 2 minutes, we were chatting like old friends. And then it was
Yeah,
just a conversation then, right? And she was phenomenal. Like the Thicket story is still one of my favorite things anyone's ever told me. Like all those
yeah,
little stories, she just had a really good way of setting a scene and painting a picture for you.
yeah. Yeah, that was her, and she had a million stories like that. Gosh, when I think you'd sent me a couple of questions to kind of
Yeah.
prepare, and I've had a really hard time trying to narrow down memories with her. There's good ones and not so happy ones and funny ones, and I don't know. I mean, she just bittersweet life.
Yeah. And again, I mean, leaves a big hole, of course, for her family. That's always you're not going to replace Gwen, but also for all of us who met her online, and there's so many of us. Like she was,
Yeah,
and again, she was that sort of mother figure to people she didn't know and people she didn't need to be kind to or nice to or say nice things to or sort of send gifts to and all this stuff. But she just did it because I think she's just one of those genuinely nice people who wanted other people to be happy. That's the sense I always got from her.
yeah, absolutely. She was just incredibly thoughtful like that. Um, and likewise, I know there are so many people out there that had these friendships with mom, and they seem to have gotten so much out of it. But likewise, she got so much out of running this group and developing these friendships. I think when COVID hit back in 2020, um, when we were all kind of isolated, it was important for all of us to kind of have these social opportunities and friendships. But mom had also broken her knee that year, and her mobility became a little more limited.
Right.
So boy, did I see her flourish online. It was remarkable.
So was that something that you like? When did you become aware when the family become aware that Mum's kind of a little bit of a rock star now in this little Tom Petty community? She's kind of an important figure now.
Um, Probably last year. I forget what gathering we had, and she said that one of her friends or someone she had talked to on the phone said, "Well, gosh, I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity," and that's just my mom. Come on.
To us though, because
uh,
I mean, it's unusual, and I don't know how much time you spend online, but it's unusual to find a group like that on Facebook, on social media, that is only inclusive and only welcoming, and there's never any trouble in there, and it's that, and it does that sort of that tenor to the group, and that leadership starts at the top. And when you've got someone like your mom who was just so good at wrangling people and making sure that none of the nonsense got through, it's just such a nice place to be, right? And we all spend too much time in there during our day, so it's a good, but it's a great place to waste time.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of why she started the group, or saw that need, at least within herself, of wanting to do the group. Um, and yeah, it just truly meant the world to her. Um, I can't tell you how many times she said, "Oh, I talked to my friend so and so today," or my friend so and so won this contest today, and she was
Yeah.
so excited. And the stories were endless. I loved seeing her flourish with that.
So did that surprise you at all that she would sort of take a leadership role in that way? No, no.
know, uh, but with her and her husband owning businesses, and my mom raised kids for, I was trying to think about this. It's probably close to 30 years that she raised kids. Um, my brother is 11 years older than me, and then me being the baby. And I think I was 10 when I became an aunt. That all the grandkids came. I mean, it,
Yeah,
it was a huge chunk of her life. And yeah, boy, she could wrangle the kids up and make it fun. And
yeah.
this is just a continuation of that caring for people. She always said that she all she wanted in life was to be a mom and a wife. um, this just was her caring and nurturing, kind of pouring into a different outlet later in life.
Yeah, and such, like I said, such an important one for so many people, right? When you go onto the group, and I remember like when I found out she passed, after the initial shock of it and just sort of being overwhelmed by, I'm sure it's just that thing of, well, that can't be right. This just can't be right, right? Then the outpouring of love was
Yeah,
just, it was so beautiful, genuinely beautiful to sort of be in that river, that's this love that's flowing through. And again, it all comes from this one place. So very, very, again, humbling for me to have just had any part in her life and have been sort
yeah,
of in her social orbit. I'm just so thankful that I stumbled across that group one day, joined up, and met this wonderful, wonderful lady.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. um, I think it was the day mom passed, I reached out to a couple of her friends because I was concerned, what's going to happen to the group? I don't want to see the group fade away. I
Yeah.
certainly couldn't run it to the capacity mom ran it, but and I'm so thankful. In fact, now let me thank Marilyn and the team of moderators. There are so many people involved. I don't want to name everyone, but they do a fantastic job. Mom, I mean, it has to be so proud of them, looking down and smiling.
Yeah, I think so too. And it was that thing of, is it going to be the same? Because, without Gwen's humor and without that warmth. But yeah, Marilyn, Rebecca, Penny, and Griselda have done such a good job of maintaining the spirit of the group, making sure that there's lots of love still binding around, but it's still about Tom Petty. So there's lots of Tom Petty too. So it's great.
Absolutely. I, I'm happy to see the spirit of the group live on. And that, again, that outpouring of support when mom passed was a huge comfort to myself and our family that's in the group. Um, yeah, it's like nothing I've ever seen. And it definitely carried us through that hard time.
When it's such an incredible legacy to leave behind too, right? Because most people, I mean, we impact our family, we impact our friends, but to have that hugely positive impact on so many people, and
Yeah.
that I don't know if she really, really fully understood how loved she was and how appreciated she was and how much this meant to so many people. So to her family, I would thank you guys for giving us Gwen,
Oh,
for a couple 3 years that we had her in the group. So
yeah. Yeah. She was something. And as loved as she loved the group also. She got just as much out of it
yeah.
as all of the members did.
Okay, so is there anything you wanted to specifically you wanted to talk about or mention or?
Oh gosh. Let's see. Oh, did I lose you?
Oh, I don't see your video yet. Oh, there you go. You're
There.
back.
Sorry about
It's okay.
Goodness, what do I want to mention? There are so many memories to mention. I think we covered I wanted to definitely thank the admin team of the group. And thank you for the podcast last year. That meant so much to her. That was, I think, I know she was nervous about it, but
Yeah.
she was definitely proud of it and kind of had a sense of, uh, I have arrived.
Well, she arrived long before she spoke to me, but yeah, it was so funny.
Yeah,
And same thing. So I jump online. I don't know Gwen, right? I've seen her photos online, but I don't know her before that call. But like I said, at the end of that, it really felt like, well, this is just someone I've known all my life. So I think
yeah,
that ability that some people have to just put you at your ease and be so genuine in the conversation and so giving it conversationally is fairly rare. Sort of again to find that and to have that for me to have that experience, it was more me being sort of super excited and super proud to have been able to give let Gwen have a platform so that people hear her voice, right? So
yeah. She was nervous about that, but she's so excited. And I think part of that goes back to her just being kind of humble. It was easy to talk to her, and I kind of tend to gravitate toward people like that now. I've noticed, having been around her my whole life, the people that it's easy to talk to and that are humble and just down to earth, um, are the ones near and dear to my heart.
yeah, no drama. Don't need any drama in life. There's enough drama already without inviting more of it in, right? So
Yeah, yeah. Oh
awesome.
God. So yeah, I mentioned her influence on my music. The first concert. It's probably worth noting. As I was a teenager, my brother, that's closest to me in age, we both enjoyed going to rock concerts um, quite a bit before we were able to drive. And all of our friends would go. Their parents didn't want to take them. There were countless nights mom would take us to concerts and sit out at the festival all day with us or come pick us up, at 10:30 at night, and, um, just to encourage the love of music.
Yeah, it's an important thing though, right? I mean, I play instruments, so I have instruments all around the house. My kids have always known that music is a part of our lives. If you want to sing, sing. It doesn't matter whether you can do it or not, just do it. If you want to play, play. Because music is what is life without music, really? You know?
Yeah. In fact, her granddaughter, my daughter Layla, had the lead in their high school musical last year. And like I said, mom's mobility was kind of limited, but by God, she was going to see that musical. We were able to go in ahead of time and get a good seat up front. Yeah, she never let that stop her love of music.
No, and she's so proud of her kids and her grandkids. Like she talked about them lots, right? That's the main thing she talked about was either Tom Petty or her family. Those are the two things I think she loved most in life. So
Yeah. So I was asking my daughter if there was anything she wanted to mention um, in this interview, and memories that came to mind for her. We talked about the food and the pancakes. Um, Mom and Jean had, gosh, I want to say 15, 18 grandkids. I've lost count. Um, a core group of them, about 8, 10 of them were around the same age. And they would have countless sleepovers at that house. The traditions that lived on. Mom had like hand sewn Christmas stockings for all of them, or knitted, not knitted, crocheted blankets for all of them. The sleepovers, they would go snipe hunting outside. Are you
what
familiar with
hunting?
snipe hunting? It's not real. It's a trick. It's when
Okay.
you kids, they're going out to look for. I think they said snipes or udi bots. These are not real creatures, but you get a bunch of 5 to 8 year olds outside in the dark with flashlights. They loved it. Layla still talks about it.
Oh man, that's so much fun.
Yeah, so that was something that she had done as a child, that she carried on the traditions, the Christmas cookies every year. I mean, all of her traditions were
Yeah.
real important to her. Good quality family time.
Well, that's it, right? It quality over quantity. And I think
Yeah,
you making the most of, and that my grandparents, both sets of my grandparents were very actively involved in my and my brother's lives too, where you didn't just go to grandma and grandpa's house, something was going on. You know, grandpa would show us his rhubarb patch, or nan would take us out, and we go for drives and those kind of things. I think that being
yeah,
actively involved in your kids' lives and your grandkids' lives it enriches your relationship with them so much that I always feel sorry for people who don't have that relationship with either
Uh,
grandparents or their grandkids, you know.
that's that's true. So growing up with the rhubarb patch, huh? Did they farm quite a bit or have a garden?
No, no, no. This was in the middle of in the middle of a city. So I would say a rhubarb patch was maybe two or three rhubarb plants.
Okay.
But the one rhubarb plant that my granddad had, I believe is still there. Like that. So that plant I don't know, 50, probably 45, 50 years old. So that's incredible.
Oh,
But he always just tell us now, don't go near don't eat the rhubarb leaves. They'll poison you, you'll die. I'm like, okay. We're all terrified of rhubarb leaves, like for life, you know, because we got told so many times. Yeah.
um, mom had a green thumb. She could grow any kind of plant. I'm horrible with them. She actually in my front entryway has a small potted tree that my grandmother had grown, and mom's kept it alive in the 6 years since my grandmother had passed. I hope I can keep it alive for a little bit.
I'm terrible. I have plastic plants in my office because yeah, if they're real plants, they will die under my care. So
Plastic works. Plastic is
absolutely.
good.
Well, there is sorry, I'll let you. You were going to speak there.
No, no,
I say if we want to wrap up, unless we want to tell some more stories, but if we want to wrap, I was thinking about a natural way of wrapping up. So maybe we can do that now, and then if we want to keep talking, I can edit it together to make it look
you're
more
good.
natural. But
Yeah, we're good.
so one of the questions I always ask on my podcast when I have guests on, I do 10 quick fire questions and do things like, which album, which is your favorite member of all that kind of stuff. But the last question I always ask is describe Tom Petty in 3 words. So I'm going to flip this. I'm going to ask you, Patricia, to describe your mum in 3 words. If you had only 3 words to describe her, what 3 words would you use?
That makes me want to tear up. Um, Loving and family and music. Um, that nails it. Oh, I want to show you one thing.
Okay,
I
yeah.
a tattoo in memory of mom. It's a little hard to see, but
Yeah.
it is a butterfly. Mom had a tattoo that you couldn't really see that was a butterfly, and she knew I was going to do this while she was alive. I told her I wanted to do kind of the silhouette. Um, the shape of it is a mother and a daughter that make a heart, and that was on a necklace that she had given me when my daughter graduated. Um,
Oh, that's beautiful.
Lots of meaning in there.
Well, there we go. Anybody in the Tom Petty Fans Forever group or anyone listening to the podcast, if you're thinking about getting a tattoo, maybe a butterfly. Maybe a butterfly is a good option for you.
I would say do a butterfly or a flamingo for mom. She was partial to pink flamingos.
Where did that come from? That's a really odd.
I don't know. She loved kind of vintage pop culture, like
Okay.
50 and the pink flamingos. She loved having them in her yard. At one point, she actually had two huge, 6, maybe 8 foot tall flamingos.
Oh wow.
Uh, yeah, all through. And I mean, lights and anything flamingo. The little doormats were flamingos. One year for Mother's Day, my sister and I actually flamingoed the yard, and we bought up everything we could from the little dollar store. Everything flamingo and
And just
surprised with it.
festooned it. That's awesome.
Yes.
Super cool.
um, yep. Flamingos, Tom Petty, and the butterfly.
So does the butterfly have some significance then for her?
Uh, I don't know. I don't think so. Not that I know of. It was
Okay.
just her one little tattoo that she got.
I was like, but when you had the tattoo, how did you find it? How did you find the experience of getting a tattoo? Because because I have tattoos and people say, what does it feel like? Well, it feels like being stabbed with a needle thousands of times. That's what it feels
Uh,
like.
it was fun. I decided, in fact, this is another story. When I turned 18, I had wanted a tattoo and it was fine. Yeah, it's just little needle pricks. But it was my mother and my grandmother that actually took me to get it. That was my birthday present as I entered adulthood.
Oh, so cool.
So that's actually what I carried the tradition on with my daughter for her birthday last year.
Cool. What did she get?
She got little bats on her thigh. She's a little more gothic and dark, and That was her first tattoo. She actually just got her third one last week. So
Good for
she
her.
has one hand. I'm sure mom's going, no, gosh, don't do any more, but we do what we want.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing these days. I mean, it's not like, I mean, even when we were growing up, certain like places to have tattoos, you didn't do, certainly not like on your hands. It was kind of a nowadays like full sleeve tattoos, neck tattoos. No one blinks an eye anymore, right?
Yes, I love that.
That's the way it should be. It's just art.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, she knew I was going to get this tattoo, but she was not too keen on it.
Oh,
I
really?
don't. Yeah,
It's
but
really funny.
got it anyway.
Okay, well let's wrap things up. Is there any sort of final words you had for, because like I said, more or less this is sort of part of a week-long celebration of Gwen's life. We're going to be doing a quiz on, I think, on the Saturday is what my plan is, a little Tom Petty quiz for the group. So we're going to put some information about that out. And like I said, from our side, I really, again, just thank you so much for doing this today, and also for sharing your mom with us for so long. It's just we're eternally grateful for that.
And thank y'all for recognizing her and remembering her. It makes my heart smile when I open up Facebook and see her pictures. um, and yeah, I'll just close with keep calm and petty on.
Awesome.